Dr. Gopinath, you may start with the introduction.
Thank you, Majid. Very good morning to all dignitaries and participants.
Good morning.
It's my pleasure to invite the eminent scientist Dr. Suryakant Mishra, Principal Scientist and Head DPR Regional Center Bhubaneswar, to this 21 days training program. Let me give a brief introduction about our speaker. Dr. S.K. Mishra, a Doctor of Veterinary Sciences, hails from Nayagar district of Odisha. Sir has earned his Masters in Poultry Science from IVRA Nagar and PhD in Animal Biotechnology from Tanuvas, Chennai. Sir works as scientist in the discipline of poultry science in ICR Agriculture Research Service since August 1991 and is currently at ICAR DPR Regional Center Bhubaneswar as a principal scientist involved in duck genetics and breeding. Sir has already headed the DPR Regional Center from 2011 to 2016, during which he promoted and popularized duckery as a household poultry enterprise across the country. Beforehand, Sir has already served for 14 years at the DPR Hyderabad and handled projects on broiler poultry breeding and genomics. Sir has also served at the Central Avian Research Institute Nagar for 6 years, where he earned vast research experiences working in native chicken, Japanese quails, turkeys, etc. Sir has been instrumental in developing 3 trademarked variety of Japanese quails named Kari Ujjwal, Kari Shweta, and Kari Sunehari, which earned a name for the Kari. Dr. Mishra has wide international experience through postdoctoral research and trainings in biotechnology and participation in publications. Sir has published more than 70 peer-reviewed research publications in poultry sciences in national and international journals. Sir has already guided 10 master's students and 3 PhD students in animal science subjects. And Dr. Mishra has already handled a multi-center externally funded project from NASF for 2.5 crores, besides being part of DBT and RKVY projects. Sir has been honored with many national awards and international recognitions. With this brief introduction, let's welcome our eminent speaker to deliver his lecture on promotion of alternate poultry species beyond chicken farming for sustainable livelihood. Welcome you, sir.
I think the resource person got disconnected. Dr. Sudesh, can you call him up and ask him to join again, sir?
Yes, he's waiting.
Participants, please bear with us. There is connectivity issue at the whole resource person level.
Yeah. Sorry, Dr. Gopinath, just a little bit disconnection. Now it's okay?
It's okay, sir. You are audible, sir. Welcome you, sir, once again.
Thank you. Thank you for the excellent introduction. I had a little bit of connection problem, and I'm actually making this telecast from the home only. And it's great actually meeting such a learned audience. And sincere thanks to Dr. Sudesh for making it possible. And over the next 1 hour, I'm going to share with you whatever our experience has been on this coveted topic. Most of you might have been familiar. And shall we start?
Can you share screen also? Can you share your screen also? Because we are not seeing what you are
So we
seeing.
are not able to...
You have to again follow the same process.
Okay.
Present now and choose entire screen.
Okay.
Then click on the screen and share, because otherwise you would be talking and we won't be able to. I think you are under the assumption that we are seeing it.
Okay.
Just a second.
Is it visible now?
Yes.
So shall we go for presentation?
Yeah. Go for the slide.
Yeah. Is it okay now?
Now can you minimize, sir? Can you minimize this? You are sharing. Yeah. Yes. Perfect, sir. Perfect.
It's okay now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Then let me quickly start with my presentation. And we are going to talk exactly for 1 hour. And wherever there is a issue, I mean, please ask me to stop there and explain. And if anybody participant is having a question to ask also, you can feel free to ask me. And even at the end of the presentation also, we can discuss. So I'll try to make it a brief one, though there are some 45 odd slides. A little bit fast I have to go. And let me read out the topic right now. We are going to talk on the promotion of alternate poultry. And especially we are going to talk on the ducks. And ducks are going to be discussed beyond chickens for sustainable livelihood, particularly on Atma animal protein needs that can be grown in our backyards. And the topic is self-explanatory. We are going to talk on ducks, a little bit away from the chicken world. And I'll take only half a minute talking about how the ducks have come to be known as a important alternate poultry species. Poultry is a household name now. There can be no discussion in the animal protein sector without the reference of poultry, be it broiler chicken, be it the eggs. And despite the challenges what we are facing through COVID, other things, international poultry, it's still continuing. In India also, we are seeing that poultry, broiler eggs are still there on the everybody's menu. So this continues. So the question is now that beyond chicken, what? The people who are already used to chicken meat, eggs, they need to be familiarized with this topic also. There are alternate poultry like ducks, quails, turkeys, emus, you must be hearing. And these are specialty poultries which are primarily grown either for their meat, I mean eggs meat, they are there, but aroma, taste, gamey flavor, everything people consider and they go for them. And worldwide statistics says that there are 1.14 trillion ducks are there in the world. And ACI, incidentally, it holds 89% of total world's population of ducks. So with this, just I need to mention that the total ducks, out of the total poultry in India, the ducks alone, they constitute around 3.9% of total poultry, 4%. Sometime before we used to be, when I was student, I was told that the ducks used to be 7 to 8% of total poultry. That means in India, the chicken has grown, chicken industry has grown, but ducks a little bit become static. And that is how the proportion has come down to 4%. So roughly we have now 33.51 million ducks. And incidentally, the duck sector is provided, I mean, mostly supported by the government agencies. And industry is very reluctantly coming into that. The same is the graph that is shown here. That means in Asia, it is popular, but bulk of the credit goes to China. You can see the proportion of where India stands and where China stands. Probably 20-30 times of the Indian scale of industry China is having. And in eggs also, India is contributing little and China is contributing more. Incidentally, China continues to be the #1 exporter, both for egg and meat. All of you know that. And now just to say 1 minute that all this photo what is there in your screen, emu, turkey, Japanese quails, this guinea fowl, these are household names now. But we are going to concentrate our focus on the ducks, and particularly productive ducks. Ducks have been there in India and the entire world for centuries. Why have they become important now? That means what was not there with us was the productive ducks. Ducks were there. Ducks are a waterfall, all of you know that. So we are going to talk more on that and specifically backyard ducks. How ducks can be reared in the backyard. And now coming to the topic proper, there are 4 kind of duck breeds which are popular in India. Khaki Campbells, white Pekins, native ducks, and bottom you see some moti ducks I have written, though it's not a duck exactly. But appearance wise, it's a duck for every practical purpose. It's a muscovy. Cairina muscata is the particular zoological name there. And the 3 other breeds I mentioned, they're Indian runner, rowan, Aylesbury. They're also important duck breeds that is worldwide, but in India we have not introduced much. And whatever ducks is there in India, whatever you are hearing, Pekin duck, Khaki duck, they're all imported into India some 4 decades back. So after that, we have not seen a lot of fresh imports. So that is how the international performance of the ducks and our Indian ducks performance will be some differences. Be sure about that. And we all need to address that also. Being faculties, at some point of time, all of us need to address that. Why? What is the need for fresh imports or whatever? ICR DPR, Directorate on Poultry Research, and we are a regional station there. I have written regional center. So this regional center serves as a germplasm repository for the whole of India. And all of you must be familiar, and no need to highlight. On top, this particularly dark looking breed, this Khaki Campbell. The white ones are white Pekins. Obviously, this is a layer type duck breed. This is a meat type duck breed. And on my right, there is a native, we say Kuji duck breed. This is we find in all colors, whatever you have seen in your imagination also. Green billed, then patchy, then fawn, then mixed breed, then spotted breed, everything. It comes in this native because the phenotype is actually mixed. And the one what I was saying, Muscovy ducks, though they qualify to be called as ducks, there are different zoological species, but they also are here, and we are also selling them and dealing them with them. And it is, I'll be sharing a PowerPoint copy to all of you, so you can also look at the details. I'll only highlight the salient points. Now let's talk briefly, particularly what are the advantages of the ducks over chickens. Why at all we talk about the ducks, and why are they commanding such a important place in our poultry industry? Ducks, like chickens, they can lay good number of eggs, substantially quantity of good quantity of meat. In fact, I will say ducks are better layer than the chickens. And ducks meat also is very tasty. Eggs are also tasty. And they are the second largest source. Just a minute. It has gone actually a little bit up here. So I'll just go back. Through ducks, we are able to supplement the qualitative nutrition to our families. And it requires little amount of labor and attention. And duck eggs have been traditionally bigger than the chicken eggs. Normal chicken eggs, all of us we know. Wherever we go to shop, get a crate of chicken eggs, we always look at the size. Roughly 55 grams to 56 grams is the standard size of the chicken eggs. But average size of the duck eggs will be something around 65 plus. You can even find some 80 gram plus duck eggs. Wonderful, no? So that kind of importance it has got. And in many states, it is important, particularly the coastal states, starting from West Bengal, Orissa, Andhra Pradesh, then Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and one state, northeastern state, that is Assam. Assam and Kerala, it is so popular that if you say one egg omelette I require, they normally will serve you a duck omelette. That much popular it is. So if you want a chicken egg omelette, you have to specifically say like that. I want a chicken egg omelette. Otherwise, one egg omelette means it will remain. It will mean that as if you are asking for a duck omelette. With all this specialties around, all these preferences for the duck eggs, why it is not getting popularity? That all of us need to think. An interesting thing is that ducks are easy to rear. They don't fight. And all sections of the family, elderly ladies and aged people, even handicapped people, all can be brought into this duckery stream because they are not difficult to maintain. A flock of 50 ducks, 60 ducks can be easily reared in a small household. All the farmers who don't own a land also, they can rear ducks. So everybody you can involve into this duckery stream. And most important is that it doesn't require lakhs and lakhs of rupees. You have just in your pocket 5 to 6,000 rupees, you can get started. Purchase a 20 or 25 ducks and it can support you strongly. I will go through the other slides. We'll see how nicely they fit into our middle class budget, even poor man's budget also, how nicely they fit. This is just the scenario that is there in, I also must mention that the entire Southeast Asia, ducks are very familiar. China, they may be the biggest exporter in the entire world, but their household consumption is primarily duck meat, duck eggs. Throughout the day, they love taking in the breakfast, lunch, dinner, every time they may give preference to duck meat or duck eggs. So much is the popularity. In Philippines, you find a lot in the Burma, in particularly Vietnam, Korea, Japan, and I must say that in Europe and the US also they are equally popular. Though primary focus will be on chicken and turkeys in USA, but they rear lakhs and lakhs of ducks are there in US. In fact, the best duck breeds are imported from US. In UK, the principal duck, best of the duck breed varieties are coming from UK. There is a Cherry Valley Farms, you must have heard, and in USA there is a Maple Leaf Farms. People who are concerned with ducks, the faculty, they should know these two names. Maple Leaf Farms in USA, known for this quality broiler type of ducks. Cherry Valley is known for the quality layer type of ducks. Whenever you need to import some, when the India allows free imports, you can all think about that. And the idea of showing these two pictures is that it doesn't require a lot of investment. Just bamboo, once you just see, Philippines, they have just put some bamboo flats, and on that they're making huge sets and feeding, watering, just like chicken. They get started in China, the small, tiny ones, because China, whenever they are more than 3-4 weeks old, they start using them, even in the soup, the meat, everywhere. And most of them, they do not go for fries, they go for Beijing duck, very popular one. If some of you visit China sometime, you can taste that also. And now coming to a situation, why ducks have become relevant to our situation? India is filled with a lot of wetlands. This river, these canals, this wet field, paddy fields, and these brackish water lakes, everywhere. These lakes, canals, rivers, everywhere water stream is there. If it is a water stream, assume that this is a grazing ground available for the ducks. Look at this field. This is a particular field from Orissa. Typically, some submerged water is there, and a little bit brackish water. It may be neither the rice grows there, neither is suitable for wheat. Throughout the year, it may be remaining marshy and unused. And what can be, even you allow the animals like your cattle to go there, they will be reluctant to go. So what comes into your mind? If you put the ducks there, they can probably make the best use of the field. They can just ravage the entire area, just like grazing field. They utilize everything. The fallen grains, whatever you harvest in a paddy field, if they're a little bit fallen on the clay, we don't use it. But ducks will go inside and they will try to grab it. So all your feed, wasted feed also, and all this feed related insects, earthworms, whatever, the slugs, snails, everything becomes, they're part of the feed system. And they do not incidentally take your crops, your rice, wheat, they do not damage that. That's a good thing. And you have to make sure that when you introduce ducks into such fields, there should not be just ripening. I mean, just flowers coming up. Flowers they may be trying to damage, but otherwise there is no damage possible to the crops from the ducks. But this entire field can be used as a grazing field. So a little bit, if you focus more into what we call as a layer duck, is a Khaki Campbell breed of ducks. All of you have seen that. The males typically look like this and females like this. I have written a whole slide how to differentiate a good quality Khaki Campbell, what constitute one. Need not be read entire thing, but point to highlight is that these are the breed which can lay 330 eggs or more in a biological year. Biological year means 365 days a year. I'm talking. Today, if the duck starts laying, entire year, if you try to rear them, you can probably get more than 330, 320, 340, and 360. The biological limit will not be above 340 because it needs some gaps there. All of you know that. In chickens also, you get chickens which are able to lay 320, 325 eggs. But the duck laying that much means you have a higher amount of egg mass. Why? Because the duck eggs are higher in size, 65 grams into 330. And here I am talking of a chicken, not more than 55 grams egg you see. So 55 grams into 330 and a 65, 70 grams into 330. Which is more? Obviously, ducks are more. That biological advantage is always there with the ducks. And many people have a misnomer that moment you talk ducks, they feel that you need to provide a pond with them. No, they do not require a pond or water body compulsorily. They can be just reared in their room like this. Any NAC room also, if you close it and start rearing ducks, fine. But normally in any poultry shed where you rear your normal chickens, turkeys and other things, there also ducks can be reared. All that you need to give them is some water for their drinking and some food for their feed requirement. So perfectly, the ducks can be reared just like chickens. And the people are also used to rear ducks in the cages also. But as you can see, nature has given them webs. These webs, they're supposed to swim. So these webs get ruptured in the cages. So if you want to adapt them to cage, you have to put some rubber mat or plastic mat so that they do not put pressure on their webs and they do not bleed. Otherwise, there is no issue. You can put them in the cage. But because they are waterfowl, they love water. They kind of love playing in the water, swimming in the water. For that reason, water is considered. And as I said, the chicken cannot go into water, but ducks can go into both places. In the dry land also, and it can also use the water body alike. So that advantage is always there with the ducks. And the ducks what we are talking here, they are particularly domesticated ducks. Do not confuse ever that we are talking about the wild ducks or mallard ducks and there is a biological or a forest issue or a wildlife issue with that. No, it's not at all. That is there. And here I am talking about this Peking ducks. As you can see, it can be used in the grassland, in the water body, and in the deep litter. And these are exclusively, just like your broiler chicken, supposed to eat and grow. eat good quality feed, and grow up and put a lot of muscles, meat that can finally come into your plate as a duck meat. And very popular in Orissa, Kerala, Delhi, and a lot of northern states also, particularly northeast in Manipur, Mizoram, and your what is that, Nagaland, and if I'm correct, another Bengali speaking state, that also Tripura is very popular there. They love this duck meat like anything, and they give preference over chicken meat also. In every week, they used to search for at least one day duck. That much the popularity there. Why, you can obviously come to understand a little bit later. And this is that other last breed what we maintain here. This is Moti ducks, the Muscovy ducks. The look is like this. Just look at them. It's no pathological condition, just bead-like appearance. We say Moti, as if a lot of pulse, red color pulse have been there. So with this Moti breed, the appearance is like that. They become huge size birds. 4 kilo, 4, 5 kilo, 6 kilo. You can find an easily one Moti breed, and entire family can be fed with that. The meat is very delicious, and entire South America, North America, people are fans of this particular Moti breed. And it can survive also a long time. In a zoo condition, if you leave Moti, you can even find after 10 years, 15 years, they will remaining alive. So that much survival the nature has given them. Now going with a little bit, the native ducks, what we are rampantly promoting in India, and already without our intervention also, the duck that is there in India is your native ducks. And what are they popular for? That means native duck means you don't need to feed them. You just put in your backyard and forget about them. That means you allow them to graze, they will find their own quantity of feed. They will look for their own feed, they will try to, and the principle of poultry rearing, all of you know. It eats only for its energy. It's not supposed to go for overfeeding. So same concept, it is allowed in the backyard, 70-80% of its requirement will try to grab from the backyard. A little bit of supplement. That means it's never possible to get a balanced feed if it is grazing just around the backyard. Backyard, what is available? Maximum pollen grains, your rice, your wheat, all these things is available in a household that you can feed it. But they require a balanced one. Protein has to be balanced, nutrition, carbohydrates has to be balanced, the fat has to be there, vitamin and minerals has to be there, because the egg cells are thicker, you require calcium for that. So in order to have a balanced feed, my suggestion normally has been that you allow the ducks to graze in the backyard, but at least 25 to 40-50% you need to supplement them if you want to maintain a balance. And they keep on laying also. They want these desi dogs also, they do not frustrate their owners. At least 50% of the capacity, that means in a biological year, they're also good at laying roughly around 150-160 eggs. Desi chicken fins, how much? Your impression is that 40-50 eggs they give and they go into brooding. But ducks, they will normally give you more than 100 eggs. Good quality eggs and very nutritious. And on top of that, if they are going for grazing, you can get a very nicely colored yolk. A lot of pigments used to come there from the grazed elements. They try to put chromosomes there, and they become your precursor for the carotene pigments, which ultimately makes vitamin A in your body. Okay, so just so next, now let us talk a little bit about the specifics. If we take duckery as an option, just like chicken, where you need to start? Somewhere you need to start. Management aspect, we'll talk about the nutrition aspect, we'll talk about the growth, and little bit of genetics, how to maintain them for eternity, because we want to become Atma Nirvar. The earlier concept, 3 decades before, you have seen that most of the ducks, chicken breeds we used to maintain in India in a breeding format. That means we never knew when the America will allow an import or not, because most of the breeds what you see in white leghorn as a egg layer and your cob and other things, they are perfectly a Cornish breed or a rock breed. Cornish rock crosses, white Plymouth rock and white Cornish. They are cross of that. Whatever breed you see in the market, they are either Cornish or rock crosses. Whatever your egg layer chickens you see in the market, they are white leghorn breed. So these were a risk 2 to 3 decades before the free import, this world open trading was allowed. India used to breed for decades and decades their own breed, so that tomorrow there is a problem, tomorrow the import is banned, you can yourself, Indian farmers can be allowed to take the chicken from the public sector areas and start rearing them in order to become Atma Nirvar. The same is the situation even now in the duckery sector. Unlike chickens, most of the ducks which are there in the country, they are freely shared, and still we are not going into a lot of imports, and we are not giving a lot of ducks. Directly we are importing, and like GP concept, grandparents, parents, and commercial, we are not doing in the ducks. we are now still because in last 3 decades of my career, I have seen ducks being produced either in CPDO, Bangalore, or this Cary, where we are working, or in some other CPDO and state government farms. And duck chicks used to be supplied to farmer, then they do the rearing. And now we are going to specifically talk on that, where to make a starting. So nobody now makes a brooding hen to hatch your eggs. Machines are now hatching your eggs. So what you are seeing here is ideal incubators and hatchers. Just like you put your fertile eggs into them and start hatching them. And unlike chickens, their hatching it takes around 28 days. Chicken how much? 21 days duration. Here 28 days, 1 week extra. But that is biology. That is with the part of the biology. So 4 weeks they take in the incubation process. So today, if somebody requires a duckling, so the common practice is that the office will encourage you to make a deposit, make an advance booking, and for you they will set the eggs today. That means you can get your supply only after 4 weeks. That is normal one. Only except the researchers who require chicks today. That means out of the turn we used to give them also for research purpose. Otherwise, they perfectly fit into the hatchery incubation hatching automatic format. Automated forced draft incubator. That means air, oxygen, temperature, humidity, everything is balanced in the machine. You don't need to worry. And after 28 days of incubation, you see chicks coming out of the cells automatically, peeping the egg cells. All of your professionals, so I don't need to highlight what is the incubation process and how they look like. The photo, the idea of putting this photo is how the ducklings they look like, just similar to chicken, just little broader beaks there because their beak is flat, and how cute they are looking here. And these ones which are looking gray, little darker, they become khaki when they become grown and adult. And the bottom ones which are looking yellowish here, they're basically down feathers, no? So don't confuse that the feathers should be white. These are down feathers. That means the rudimentary ones which grow up into feathers. So the yellow ones looking here will become white. The darker ones will be looking what is seen here, they will become khaki color. And there is a mixed one here. So these are also packed in these kind of cartons and they are transported. And like chickens, you can transport them for 48 hours to 72 hours without feed and water. They have the internal yolk content to support. And this is a typical brooding. Able to follow me, no? All of you? Yeah. If I'm correct, Dr. Radotra, I'm going okay, no? With these photos? Okay. I assume that this is going fine. And this is a traditional brooding format. Typically, you need to provide them some light there. That when the brooding is taking place, the lights are there. And the light is there primarily to provide them warmth. And in a traditional brooding, my voice is not coming. Okay. Okay. So this is a traditional brooding versus the commercial scale brooding. Commercial scale brooding, how much? In the foreign countries also they rear the duck the same way, but they put in the slat. That means they put a rubber kind of net there. That means without injuring, the ducks can be reared in huge number, and they provide just watering here. Here also the same, the water ponds are here, the lights are there. Lights without reflectors should not be there. That means whatever light we are giving is going to supposed to not to illuminate alone, it should provide the warmth there. And here you see a traditional brooding format in Indian place, like they do in the chickens. What are there? These are kind of these bamboo baskets, so they're used as reflectors just to provide warmth to the ducklings. So this kind of traditional brooding format, and then when they little bit grow up, they look like this. That means slowly the feathers getting replaced with the upcoming feathers. So this is the time when they are supposed to get a little bit proteinaceous feed, because what is coming, which amino acid supports your feathering? Lysine, cysteine, methionine, they are the sulfur containing amino acid, particularly cysteine and methionine, they are required in large quantity to make up the initial feathers. So the particular ones, they make up the feathers from the down. So when they start brooding, start growing up around 3 weeks, they look like this. They may not be looking cute anymore, but this is the process. And here, the traditional desi ones, they are just people, somebody on farmer's photo it is. He has left the ducklings outside, so they start picking what is there in front of rice, parboiled rice, they are thrown on the ground. So they start picking up. So this is a field condition, and this is what we are talking about, the farm condition. And what is here is a typical hover. This is how a farmer is keeping ducks, little bit grown up ones in his thatched house. Idea of showing here, this one is here, that you don't require elaborate housing actually. In rural condition, the housing is a big issue. People don't have lakhs and lakhs of rupees to make ideal houses, make traditional sheds, water arrangement, feeding arrangement, very automatic arrangements they do not have. So they normally go for this ones. This one earlier was used for the goatry. So they have removed the goats and start putting the ducks there. In a small house like this with such a small ventilation space, just a single bulb, they are able to maintain some 25-30 ducks there. And these are the litter. They used to keep removing. This is another kind of shelter. Somebody said, I do not have a, he was a namesake farmer. He said, didn't have a lot of field. So he said some makeshift ducking, shelter should be there. So we made him a shelter just with expenditure of 1800 rupees. Able to see, no? Just a bamboo topped one and with some polythene there. He is able to house around 20 adult females. A part of a project people used to keep it. And even ducks are also trained to watch their ducks. That means ducks always need not bite and damage your ducks. But they are predators for the ducks, no how. Anyway. This is how the farmer who was having this particular thatched house, he used to leave his ducks in the backyard. He incidentally had a pond there. So once the ducks go into the pond, there is no threat of the predators. Will any wolf or dog chase them in the water? No. Once they are going into the water, this is their realm. This is their territory. You cannot even catch them. They move very fast, swim very fast. But people should remember in the mind, ducks are not hunter type of birds. They do not hunt and damage the fish population there. It's really very small fry size, fingerling size, they may chase, but they cannot hunt them because they will, once they go more than 10 centimeter, 15 centimeter in the water, ducks do not want to pursue them. So they cannot really hunt your fish population beyond that. So they can cohabit. Idea that in a pond, the both duck and fish can be reared together. That is the concept of integration farming. What I am trying to show here is that this is woman friendly. Yes, one woman is trying to feed her ducks, and she is trying to feed her ducks with a little bit of water in the tray, and this is perfectly fine for them. There is no need for a water body. But here somebody is able to show a big water body there supporting the ducks there. Here another lady who is had a small pond there in the backyard. She is maintaining the ducks there, and a girl is also taking bath there. The people don't mind using the same pond for bathing purpose and also duckery purpose. And here somebody is seen to be rearing ducks and chickens together. People used to ask these questions, whether they can be reared together. Scientifically, I will say not recommended, but actually people do that, and very rarely chicken diseases, all of you know that ducks are resistant to most of the chicken diseases. Your Newcastle disease, Gumboro, MD, they are all resistant, and ducks are naturally resistant to them. So only two diseases they are sick. I am going to talk about them later. Only two important diseases what we used to take care for the ducks. And this is the experience of Panama, South America. Whenever there is a water body, they used to think of ducks. It should not go west. A little bit small shelter they used to keep there, and ducks used to graze there. And whenever they are free, they come there and take shelter here. And obviously they will be putting their eggs here. And normally they used to rear a lot of meat type ducks. So they do not bother much about the eggs what they are laying. They need to just have some good quality meat ducks. So as fast as they can grow, they like that. Next question: how to feed them? How ideal feeding management should be? What exactly, whether they should be given a watery feed, they can be given a dry feed? This question comes. So I'm trying to answer that. There is really no concept that you need to give them a water mixed feed. If it is a moist feed, the tendency that they try to gulp it. They just try to gulp it. If it is a dry feed, they can still take it. That means pelleted feed can be given directly like that. Or if it is mixed with water, it is easy for them to gulp. But every time they love water. That means whatever the actual water consumption, they take much more than that. That means they try to spill it. 100 ml is the requirement. They will use 250 ml per bird. That means 100 ml, they are going to spill it there. They are going to play with that. Under 100 ml, they are going to drink it. So the actual requirement is 100 ml. They are using more than twice the requirement. So obviously, it's going to spill over the entire place where they are reared. It will make the place mushy. So the normally litter is changed very frequently whenever ducks are reared. But most of the other requirements is the same what you are using here: wheat, broken rice, bajra, soybean meal, fish meal, just like a chicken feed. We need to ensure that they get something around 2600 to 3000 kilocalorie. Most of the time we resort to 2600 to 2800 kilocalorie ME, metabolizable energy in their per kilo diet, and protein should be not less than 17 to 18%. Should not go below 16, and beyond 20-21% also no good. They don't really require. But most of the starter diets what we have seen in the ducks, for the meat type ducks, they require good quality protein. So obviously they do well on 20-21% good protein, and with the 2800 to 2900 kilocalorie ME. So with that purpose, and they don't require a lot of calcium in the initial years. Just like chicken, around 1% calcium is fine, and it is there in front of you. This is going to be shared with all of you. People who want to try and who are already knowing, that's fine. And for practical purpose, keep in the mind, any chicken feed will suit. Any chicken feed, I repeat, any pelleted healthy chicken feed will suit to the dogs also. Only thing what you are going to take care is there, mycotoxins were very sensitive. And how much sensitive? 100-fold sensitive, more sensitive than the chickens. Chicken, the limit is around 2 parts per million. That means 2 milligram. 1 mg per kg is a ppm. So 2 milligram per kilo diet, that much aflatoxin they may be able to withstand. Of course, morbidity will be there. But ducks, the moment you put more than 50 ppb, 60 ppb, they become sick. That means 200-fold extra sensitive. So any fresh diet, household diet, I said household diet, all your household waste, like your cabbage waste, cauliflower waste, your brinjal waste, your fish, whatever fish we are taking for household, entire offal is fresh for them. Or fish is fresh for us, the offal is good enough for them. Fresh offal it should be. Even your mutton bones also, you can store them, you can crush them, and you can give them fresh, or you can dry them neatly and give them entire bone crushed one. They will ideally serve as the phosphorus and calcium requirement. But you have to take care, the mycotoxins should not go. So any fungus affected feed you should avoid. Here I am trying to show that any locally available ingredients can be ground and nicely made, formulated into ideal duck feed, keeping those things in the mind. Roughly 27 to 2800 kilocalorie ME and 16 to 18% protein. For different phases, they will have different requirements. Growing phase, they will require more protein. Brooding phase, the growing phase in particular after 6 to 8 weeks to 20 weeks, they will require a little less. When they become layer, 14 to 16% protein, crude protein also is okay. But calcium you have to raise to more than 3% because that will go into formation of the egg cells. So with the brief introduction, we can read from my note how you make an ideal duck nutrition. I mean, how you can formulate a good feed for them. What is the standard health care? So there are a few, at least 5 to 7 important duck diseases which people are worried about. But most of the chicken diseases, these ducks are resistant. I told you. Marek's disease, you give vaccine in the chickens, they do not require. Gumboro disease, you give at least 2, one booster, one initial one, they don't require. ND also people used to give Lasota, then R2B, then one killed. All this they do not need. So only 2 things we highlight for them, that is one duck plague and duck cholera. Both of them are to be given within 8 weeks of age. And once you give these 2, as if they are immortal. That means 100 grown up ducks if you take and you give these 2 vaccines, they're good enough in your field or in your backyard for another 70-80 weeks. That means after 2 years you can keep them. In the second year you can think of giving one more dose of the vaccine if you. Otherwise, for 1 year at least, this is good and protective enough. And then we'll quickly go through the rest of the slides. But people used to ask questions whether ducks, they are susceptible to avian influenza or not. They are actually susceptible to avian influenza. In fact, many people, they think that chickens easily die out of avian influenza. Ducks do not die. Actually, it is not the case. They may be a little bit tolerant. That means immediately what happens in the influenza? The chicks gets exposed to influenza within 24 hours, within 5-7 hours or latest 24 hours, they die out by 99%. Such a killer disease it is. And it also zoonotic. So for that reason, whenever there is a flu outbreak, they used to sanitize the entire area in the 1 kilometer radius. That means they need to wipe out the entire chicken or NR poultry, because all are susceptible, with the hope that it doesn't spread. Incidentally, if it happens in the ducks, what will happen? They will silently carry it, even for weeks also they can carry. They die also, 5-10% will die. And if you are not clever enough, they may be there in your flock silently and they may be spreading to chicken. That is the only catch. But for that reason, should you stop rearing ducks? No. All that we need to do is that everybody knows that influenza doesn't evolve from any household infection. It has to come from outside. H5N1 or H&N combinations that is coming in the market and are hearing, that comes from outside, typically from the wild birds, from the different places, endemic areas. You need to keep monitoring them. Take samples every 6 months, blood samples, we can find out, sent to the lab, and they are also dealt in BSL-4 labs. So that you have to keep in the mind. For the scare of influenza, we cannot discuss duck farming. They are very ideal. We must go for that. Quickly about these other ones. These are the schedule what people are. Duck viral hepatitis not that rampant in India, so people can ducks can be ideally vaccinated, but we do not give because incidences are less. But I hear that some incidences are coming from Kerala and different parts, and that is very rampant. If it happens, it can kill 70-80% of your flock within 1 to 2 days, within 3 days. So duck plague also very rampant. I mean, very endemic. People thought that it should be given. So I do not hear nowadays a lot of incidents of duck plague, but you should vaccinate it. That vaccines are available. Duck cholera, that routinely we vaccinate. Most of the ducks we need to vaccinate. And other things are also there. Duck septicemia, erysipelas, and other things, and mycotoxosis. Now these things you should take care of the duck sicknesses. And all of you know that a pond with ducks means it's a natural beauty. And as I already said, this is very ideal for integrations. Duck and fish being reared together. This is an artificial pond having ducks in our place. We have made like this. That means the water was not staying there, standing there. So we made a one in the concrete, and we are trying to rear fish and duck together. They go very nicely. And this was a photo 5 years back. Now, if you see the entire area, it has grown so nicely. That means whatever manure ducks are avoiding there, if you are going to take out, discharge the water, take out this manure-rich water once in a month or twice in a month, entire your cultivations around horticulture you can grow. What not, everything. Because what the ducks avoid is uric acid, not urea directly. So fresh duck feces you should not put in the field. You should allow it to decompose into urea. So urea will come out of the uric acid within a 15 to 20 days of getting decomposed. So whenever you are putting this water, this will contain urea after 1 month. So every 1 month you need 15-20 days also you can take out the water and put fresh water into that pipe system, whatever. Or the pond which get normally rainwater, that also has to be done in a similar way. And if it is there is no provision of draining out, that means you should rear limited number of ducks. Particularly 1 acre area, you should not put crowd it with more than 100 ducks. 1 acre maximum limit should be 100 to 150. If there is a lot of greenery around, lot of snails around, then probably we can leave more. This is another pond. That means just trying to show here that the horticulture is also going nicely. Banana, papaya, your coconut also will be very fine there. And the ducks are there. And somebody even ran a project to see that whether ducks alone can be maintained from this pond. I said that the feces of the ducks, they are ideal for the aquatics. That means the fish inside, they will use the duck feces litter as their feed. So 20-30% of the feed requirement can be directly made from the duck feces. And what the ducks get in return, the fish get the manure as their feed requirement. That means 50% of our feed requirement of the fish. I am not highlighting more about the fish integration format here, though that is one of the important aspects. Whenever ducks are there, the fish used to benefit. How much? As much as 50% of the entire feed requirement can be reduced if you have introduced ducks there. But what the ducks get out of the pond? Ducks get out of the pond these particular ones. These kind of water weeds, azolla, lemnia, spharodella, these can all be grown just like a weed. We said in our place, amari. That means you just introduce them, they do not go out of that. Means they just keep on growing. And this becomes an excellent feed for the both fish also and the duck also. They love like that, your salads. You put some 1 kilo of the azolla, the ducks will consume within 15 minutes. That much appetite they have for that. So they can grow, and azolla, they are rich in protein value also. lot of protein value, lot of green value, carbohydrate value is there. Roughly, safely 10 to 25% of the total feed requirement of the ducks can be met out of azolla. That much important it is. And some people have taken credit in introducing ducks in paddy fields. Whenever 3 or 4 months in a paddy growing area, water is there, ducks can also take advantage of that. But this is before the pre-flowering stage. Okay. Once the flowers keep coming, they may have a tendency to pick the flowers, and in the process, you may damage your paddy. So you should introduce them, and you have a check on that. When to release them and when not to release that, you should have a judgment of that. This is a particular area in CRR Rice Research Institute, the ICAR. They're having a big pond where they make it a little bit deeper, where the fish can be grown, and the rice, we say Bodadhan. That means good quality, good yield rice is there, and part of that is duck unit also. That means ducks, rice, and fish. All these three can be merged together into a single integration. Farmers keep coming and they keep taking the ideas. But whenever the ducks are there, they are no doubt contributing manure value to your rice. So this is the age of not synthetic manure, but this what we say, non-synthetic manure. What we say, right word? Okay, I'll tell you. That is a natural way of manuring the entire field.
Organic.
Okay. Yeah, that concept. Then some people used to raise the issue, duck eggs may be emitting some smell. That is actually partly correct and largely a misnomer. That means duck's eggs may have little bit of flavor. What is alien for us? If somebody is used to taking freshwater fish like rohu, katla, he won't mind taking the sea fish, salmon, the things, pomfret. There is no issue. Particularly, we are very fond of fish in Orissa. We don't mind any minor smell coming. We like it. So some people, particularly West Bengal, Assam, if you talk of this smell, they will laugh it out. But ideally, they may be having mild smell just like a fish. There is a trimethyl amine one component that used to come from the fish meal. Most of the birds are given fish meal as their part of the diet. So that smell may come from there. That is very negligible, you do not find. We tried to make a small experiment. We tried to put boiled chicken eggs and duck eggs without saying and pour them out. And the ducks, obviously the bigger ones are duck eggs, the smaller ones are chicken eggs. But when it goes into the plate, people love this particular one being, we are not able to discriminate, no? But these ones are loved by the consumers. We tried even school children, office going people, women's section, and we got a very positive report from all of them. That means smell is never an issue in consumption of duck eggs, but definitely there is an FMO3 component which may be causing this minor smell, and that may go a little high in the rainy season. Here I am trying to show that whenever the birds are going outside, they pick up some natural pigment from the field, which later they try to show up in this kind of view. But it looks lovely, no? In a plate, particularly this is situation of the Gulf area, where the Gulf people, they reach section, the sex, they love taking an egg without this kind of orange color yolk, they will not consume the egg. Any egg that is giving this kind of color, they will say this is for ordinary ones. We say, even the cost of production is 100 rupees, they don't mind. We want an egg which is having quality, value, and different from the commoners. That feeling they used to have. So our scientists, the Indian scientists, our director Carey, all visited and we saw for ourselves how they're artificially creating the color in that by feeding whatever. All this carrot, beetroot, everything we used to feed them to the chicken and they used to give these eggs. And here I am showing all the duck eggs in a basket which are taken and gathered from the grazing ducks, and you find a beautiful yolk color in that. Entire thing goes into our body, turned into rich vitamin A, which is useful for our eyes and all other purposes. Why vitamin A is known for. We tried to popularize the Pekins. That means they are also equally good layers. Around 200 eggs we harvested, and all the eggs they look like this. The small flock, within 2 days, a bucket of eggs will come. Why? Because most of the Pekin eggs are bigger in the size. You are able to see, 82 grams one egg, just around 40-45 eggs. That much egg size will be coming. 2 or 3 eggs you take, you can skip a lunch. That much qualitative it is, and very beautiful to test. Most of you who have not tested must test that. I'm now coming into that protein, particularly aspect what makes the duck eggs popular. People who have heard and not taken, they should start taking in a meeting. Thank you. So people who have not taken duck eggs, they should start taking them. Why? Because I'm suggesting last 8-9 years I'm personally taking that. Before coming here to this institute, I didn't have a chance to get duck eggs every day. I've seen a difference. It has been there in the literature. As a scientist, I will not directly found more on that. There's a lot of Ayurvedic properties. You must take it to experience. That means 2 to 3 eggs in a week. If you take that much, that entire beautiful properties that the duck eggs will come in that. Chinese and entire Southeast Asian, they love this for this particular purpose. For this reason, I asked many Chinese when I went to Beijing, why do you love duck eggs so much? He says, sir, duck eggs and chicken eggs, there is no comparison. You consume and then tell us. You feel actually younger. Anti-aging concepts are there in the duck eggs. People who want to look younger for years and years must put duck eggs as part of your diet. Use it. Nature has given them abundantly, being a waterfall that has been there. And more than that, we are able to see everywhere out of the chicken egg, they have a little bit additional edge about protein, fats, and these are all useful fatty acids. Don't get scared by somebody having high cholesterol cannot take chicken egg. Really, cholesterol is never because of the your eggs and the meat that you are taking, but overfeeding is always a problem. If you take a lot of duck eggs every day, 2 to 3 every day, you may have a little bit BP problem also. Take balanced way and at least make duck eggs part of your diet. You are not going to regret on that. And this is the Chinese. The Chinese, they do not, because every day they used to they stop taking the eggs. They put in different formats: salted egg, brined egg, tea mixed eggs, boiled eggs. They put in the tea. It gives a different color. They love it, and they make cake out of that everywhere. Lot of duck eggs they used to have, and most of the Chinese, you have impression, they look agile. At the age of 70, 80 also, they may not need a staircase. I mean, they don't need a lift. They can easily go on a staircase, where we are normally having issues. That means they normally remain very smart and agile and without much of fat, belly fat. That is their natural construction, and their food habit also very important. And because of this waterfall, they love geese meat and duck meat a lot. And now for all of you have an appearance about how this duck meat looks like, how the chicken meat looks like. Right side is your duck meat. Looks a little bit slender because it's a swimming kind of bird. So a lot of lumpy muscles you don't see there. Lean meat as much you can see, and they are not red meat. Going to highlight this here, and this is for the meat lovers. I have seen in the China and other places. Morning breakfast also they can have these kind of salads. Lunch these kind of things with rice. And a lot of roast they used to have, and of course in parties and other things they used to take duck meat out like this, same way as you take chicken meat. And Chinese love taking along with the head also. Normally we remove the head because it looks awful. They like it. Duck head should be there in that. And most of the ones they put conditioning of the duck meat and roast it. This is called Beijing duck. That is a special recipe that sells costlier than chicken ones. And these are some scientific facts. All of you, just look at that. It's going to be shared with you. This has lower calorie actually, as compared to breast meat and chicken breast meat and duck breast meat. If you compare everywhere, rich iron, lower fat, lower calorie. Higher content of iron, zinc, copper, and manganese. These are all from research papers. So lysine, leucine. These are two important essential amino acids. Find more in the particular duck meat. Okay, whatever you see in the chicken meat, these ones will be little extra. So for that reason, if they are worthy, I mean, they are actually, without knowing also, they are taking for centuries. Chinese, they may be knowing these facts now from the papers. But when they have been taking this chicken meat, duck meat and duck eggs, for decades and millenniums they have been taking by the habit. And skinless breast and thigh meat, they are better than all this broiler, turkey, duck and quail meat because they are significantly lower fat. And besides that, I have already highlighted about the Ayurvedic property in that. And efficiency wise also, ducks used to be higher than your chickens. Why? Because egg laying wise, I have told you, the international Khaki Campbell lays more than 330 eggs, bigger egg size. So obviously, egg weight, feed efficiency, everywhere out of the egg mass, you find the ducks having a bigger eggs than the chicken. So economics. Some people keep me asking me, what is the economics? How much a duck grower is going to gain if he is totally resorting to duckery? That means whether we can recommend to people who are trying to make after graduation, they are going to make a career out of duckery, whether you can safely recommend. That means that much earning they should have. How much is the expectation of a person after graduation? 15 to 20,000 rupees a month. So he can safely take up a duckery. And the proportion of return that it used to come, I have written here. If you are going to make it a semi-intensive format, your yield will be less. But we have seen our 20 female ducks we used to supply to our project holders. And if they are going to sell entire produce to the market, that means they do not consume. Roughly, some people used to consume also and then also report around 10,000 rupees per year. That means every year, little bit around 1,000 rupees plus was coming to the family. They were consuming partly and partly they were selling. Surplus eggs, how much you can consume? You can consume a little bit and then you have a tendency to sell it. So 10,000 rupees per year are coming simply from 20 female ducks. One need not use to have a male duck because you are not going to hatch them. You can only need a female. You are going to put a male if you need to make fertile eggs. Otherwise, only females are good enough. So 20 females will give you obviously 10 eggs or more if it's a semi-intensive format. If it's intensive format, the yield should be more than 12 eggs, 14 eggs a day. Then it's a economic one. Obviously, nobody is going to intensive poultry. They are not going to make it with 20. So they are supposed to make it at least 1,000, 2,000. The break even around 4,000. If at Orissa government is actually offered, they are supporting. Whosoever is taking duckery units, they are going to subsidize part of the investments. Not for the land, for the investment that you make a shed, make a construction, make a water tank, make other pipelines, feed factory. Entire things they are going to subsidize up to 50%. The government is supporting all. Most of the state governments are doing that. And they are saying that minimum unit to support you should be around 4,000. So as I said, if 20 ducks unit is giving you 10,000 rupees, you can calculate 4,000 unit, how much it will give you. So easily a person aspiring to make a career out of duck can make it very nicely. So 25,000 rupees he can earn for himself and 4,000 laying ducks he can manage with just one help. One person, one help. Both are going to work perfectly fine. Probably 25,000 rupees they can make. We have put few farmers into that and they are successfully reporting. And that is primarily because right now there is not much of competition. When competition becomes the norm, we have to look at the efficiencies. That means we have to take such birds which are laying huge number of eggs, such birds, such broiler ducks which are going to grow faster, with a lot of feed efficiency. Right now, feed efficiency wise, the chickens are around less than 2, 1.7 to 1.6. That 1.6 kilo of feed goes into making 1 kilo of broiler meat in return. Same way in the international broiler ducks, they are going to make you 1.6, 1.5. Our Indian ducks are a little bit higher, a little bit more than 2 kilo they may be requiring to produce 1 kilo. But most of the Pekins what you are getting now, they will give you at least 2 kilo or 1900 grams at 6 months in the intensive format. Roughly the feed efficiency around close to 2. So if you are going to make it a lot of intensive poultry duckery here, that means sometime later you have to import the best ones available in the market. And the same way we follow, import them, make a GP out of it, parents out of it, and some entrepreneur grows into a millionaire within a short time because competition is less. It is most ideal right now to enter into duckery. People having brains should enter into duckery because the growth is just virgin one. There are not many people to compete. And requirement in India is roughly around 200 crores business as of now. At least 200 crores a month. That much business is there. And we as a government unit are not able to provide that much. Profitability to cost ratio is around more than 2.5. That means if you make an investment of 1 lakh, they is going to make you 2.5 lakhs. That return, that less. So with all this, our point was where we started. That means if at all we talk of a backyard poultry, ducks are the most ideal. That means goes in the backyard without a noise. A lady who is just 50 plus can easily manage. Most of the ladies beyond 50, their daughter-in-law, daughters, somebody is going to help them. They become a little bit idle. And the Swabhiman doesn't allow them to borrow money from outside. But if they are rearing 20 ducks, they have some lot of savings in their pocket, in their purse. And what a lady requires, little bit Swabhiman. A household lady who has not earned out of any specific qualification, maybe a school dropout, she can start earning 10, 20,000 rupees easily in a year. Just 20, 30 ducks she rears in the backyard. And a beautiful 20, 30,000 savings are there at the end of the year. That means every month she is going to have surplus of 1,000, 2,000 rupees. She can spend for her own dress material, whatever little bit she wants to give to somebody, grandchildren, This kind of culture has to be brought into our family. Ideal aged people, 60 plus, were good enough to have attention on this. What is the major risk to the backyard duckery? Predators, somebody watching all the day. In our place, I have seen people taking your cattle and your buffalo to a grazing ground. All the day, they used to just keep a watch on them with a stick in their hand. Gwalas, we used to say them. Same gwala concept we introduced into the duckery. Watchman concept. That means we watch our own ducks. We feed them out of negligible amount of household waste. Everything, dal, rice, whatever you are going to eat, surplus leftover can be given to your ducks. And on top of that, little bit of supplementation we make. And beautiful 50% of their capacity they will return as eggs or meat. And the concept is that if you take some 30, 40, 50 ducks, rear them, 5%, 10% mortality. So still you will have 40, 45 ducks at the end of 6, 8 weeks. All the males you dispose for the meat value, all the females you rear for the egg value. With that, excellent duckery can be there in a backyard format. I'm not talking about the intensive format. Backyard format, wherever duckery is getting a place, we must welcome it. And advantage is that it can go in a water body. Water bodies are umpteen in India, and we are known for having claws, this, that. Because that means a lot of water bodies are in India. All things must not go idle, like your South American format. No water body should become idle. They become grazing ground for them. No cattle, no buffalo, no duckery. I mean, goatry can utilize that, but your duckery utilize. So let's have a sense of involvement, participate in national productivity. Whatever little we are producing, 1 billion eggs are produced a year. If we all of us involve, maybe within a 4 or 5 years time, we produce 1.5 billion eggs. So that way you contribute to the national productivity silently. So this nourishes our children, we become a lot of good quality protein, and we remain Atma forever. Let us government's concept to be Atma Nirvar. Do not rely on market meat or market eggs. You know what you are feeding, you know how you are maintaining, you have a sense of satisfaction, and remain with that. So with this, I close this topic, and I welcome any questions that is coming out of this.
Thank you so much, sir, for familiarizing us with duck farming through your very informative lecture. And let's have a look into the few questions by the participants. Sir, first question, why duck is resistant to RD, IBD and MD?
This is actually genetic. RD, MD and IBD, genetically ducks are resistant to them. Susceptibility, that means turkey and ducks, they have more susceptible to mycotoxin. This is genetic. So this is for genetic reason only. That is advantageous for us anyway.
Yes. And, second question, vaccination schedule for layer ducks. Can ducks be kept with native chicken?
Actually, ideally, we don't recommend because of the risk, as I said. But people do keep them like that. If they are vaccinated, I mean, chickens are vaccinated, ducks are vaccinated, absolutely 99% there may not be any risk. As a poultry scientist, I can say. But my government will recommend that poultry reared separately, duck reared separately, so that intermissible diseases they are not there.
So, third question, please enlighten us about a vaccination schedule for breeder ducks. They are asking for schedule.
Ideally speaking, I'll recommend these 3 vaccines: duck plague, duck cholera, and duck hepatitis. They're available nowadays. If somebody is going to really make a big unit, all these 3 you vaccinate, and you are almost 95% sure that your ducks are not going to get infected. So duck plague and duck cholera, these vaccines normally we give around 4 to 6 weeks of age. Second one by 8 weeks of age, just 2 weeks later. So this you repeat roughly after 1 year. That means 52 weeks later, you repeat them once. And ducks can be kept for the second season, I told you. Must have read there, no? For a second season also, they are good enough.
Okay, so then next question, in duck, lymph nodes are present or absent?
I didn't get that.
In ducks, whether there are lymph nodes. Lymph nodes are present in ducks or not? This is
And a tricky question, I may not have the answer. Somebody is asking this question. I think the lymph nodes, if they are available in chickens, that should be there. But I have seen this thymus and other things being in there in the ducks also. Rudimentary thymus, rudimentary parathyroid, everything we have seen lesser than the chicken. But actually, I may not be knowing the answer. Right person may not be me.
And next question, sir. Then in Gujarat, many companies are using ducks for producing SPF egg. Is there any reason for that?
Actually, the concept behind specific pathogen 3 is that means the egg that goes for vaccine making should not have a lot of poultry pathogens which have a chance of coming to a zoonotic disease. Because the ducks are resistant to this common poultry diseases, that means using duck eggs, vaccinated duck eggs means you are eliminating lot of diseases which are normally they are supposed to be in the chicken eggs, eliminating just by genetic route. That means in duck eggs, few diseases happen, and with that you vaccinate it. That means whatever eggs you are getting is a safer SPF eggs than you take it from the chicken. That much rationale is there.
And sir, last question, I think. No. Sir, whether poultry can be given rice or wheat as carbohydrate source in backyard rearing? What is your suggestion? If any other carbohydrate source, please mention.
Perfect question. I really appreciate this. What we are going to use them in the ducks? Out of the enthusiasm, people used to take ducklings because they look very nice. I've seen one of my neighbor taking some ducklings out of our station. The immediate next question that day he did not ask me. At one way he started asking me, Dr. Sahab, how do I feed them? I told you should have asked me in the beginning. That means the household rice middlings that we say rice kani. That means not good for your purpose, but that is having the all property of rice, broken rice. So that you can use them as a source of energy very nicely, nearly 100%. Where you are using wheat in place of that, you can give rice kani. Even maize also we can give, but maize the risk is that the little bit of aflatoxin can be more in maize. So if you are using maize, good quality maize you use, that also is perfectly fine. I already clarified for our veterinarians and other faculties. Ideally, any good quality chicken feed, that is your Lipton, your Jaffa, your Noveltec, all these feed we have tested. Beautifully, they give good result, and nearly 95% plus survival can be there on that feed. So rice, wheat, there are common sources. Bajra can be given there in sorghum, and also this wheat, also good quality wheat can be given as the energy source.
Yes, sir. Then next question, sir. Common nutritional disorders encountered in backyard duckery. Share your experience, sir.
We have seen actually few ducks because we are never able to give a balanced nutrition if you are putting totally in the backyard. That means whatever they are able to get in front of them, they are going to feed on that. That means your snails, insects, grasshoppers, earthworms, and all these things they are going to get naturally, and fallen grains. So in the process, particularly zinc, manganese, and other deficiencies may be coming. But I have not seen particular nervous deficiency. I have seen some ducks they survive with their twisted neck. Some ducks they do not have the energy to rise, and they try to sit down. That means leg strength and paralytic type of things I have seen in 5%, 6% of ducks. But we never used to suspect that this comes from the field eating because we are going to supplement. As a recommendation, 10 to 20% dana you are going to purchase from the market and you are going to supplement. Then you are not going to get this nutritional disorders in there.
Okay, sir. Then, sir, does duck require water bodies compulsorily? If so, why? Is this a limiting factor for intensive farming of duck as like that of broiler industry?
Very nice question. I appreciate the person who asked me this question. Very nice, intelligent person you are. Actually, requirement is not, that means the water body is there, the advantage is that the ducks can use it as a grazing ground. Chicken cannot go into the water body, no? They'll be reluctant. If you put a throw into a chicken into the water body, it may be able to swim, but it will never like it, never like to go second time. But ducks will love to go again and again. That means water body is not compulsory, but lovable for the ducks. Being waterfowls, they love to play in the water. But in such places where people used to breed ducks, the ducks are uniquely having a papilla. Unlike chicken, they have a papilla which they use for mating purpose. That papilla used to come out, and in the process, other ducks tend to bite it. So efficiently, they are able to mate in the water body. And for breeding ducks, we put a water channel also we recommend to be given, but not for common duck growing. But most of the ducks, they have some tear glands, salt glands in the eye. They tend to just dip their head into the water. That much is sufficient if to wash out these particular tear glands and salt gland. But compulsorily, they do not require a lot of water to be given other than drinking needs.
Okay, sir. Then what may be the possible reason for red color of meat in ducks?
Again, that is a biological and genetic quality. It's not the same red meat like your mutton or beef. We say red meat, no? Because of high cholesterol content, a high risk to the. This is just, there's a lot of myoglobin richness is there part of their muscle quality, maybe because of that. But this is genetic.
Okay. So then last question, why ducks are not so popular like chicken in spite of lots of advantages?
Nice question. I'll request Dr. Sudesh also take note of it. Unfortunately, let me talk as a dog scientist, not as a government employee. We have somehow not read the duckery needs of the country properly. Entire chicken industry was growing, but we are also doing, you must remember in the 70s and 80s when we were studying, 90s, I've seen Indian Research Institute also developing good strains of meat and egg strains in the chicken. Though not many takers were there. People tend to take the initial chick from the commercial source. But in the ducks, we did the same thing. We purchased our Khaki Campbells and the Pekins from abroad. We started breeding them on our government units, particularly CPDO and CRI and other places. But private players are not coming. So all the while we remain engaged in developing a bird, selling them, marketing them, providing know-how. That means government sector people used to remain busy in that one. And that is how we could not supply lakhs and lakhs, let's say millions and millions of ducks would have reached different corners of the country. We could not supply that. I mean, our own failure that we could not produce lakhs and millions, and our bosses did not take proper note of it. Not to be critical, but had they taken the note, by now there must have been, in place of 10, 100 units have been there. Emphasis would have been more, and such challenges, particularly the mycotoxin susceptibility, the ideal feed recommendations, and the ones that would suit the different regions of Himachal, different regions of Kerala, we would have developed location-specific varieties. This we did not do. And top of that, we did not produce enough vaccines. Today also, poultry, even duck growers in Orissa, they keep asking me, sir, where are the vaccines? Then I used to say, go to Kolkata and take. That means a person from Orissa goes to Kolkata for no reason other than just purchasing 200, 300 doses of vaccines. How costly they are? Together, the duck plague and duck cholera, they 75 paisa together per bird. For that reason, 2000 rupees means mostly 1500 rupees. For that, he has to spend 3000 rupees to go to Calcutta to purchase. So every state must have taken this vaccine production that they have not taken. That is again part of the animal husbandry department to take note of it and produce a lot of vaccines. And on top of that, government should also encourage taking duckery in a big way. And private players are most welcome to identify this sector. And I must highlight 1 minute here. Entire duck industry, there is no wastage at all. And there is no wastage, just like your gobar. Nothing is a waste in the cattle industry, including the meat, including the output. These duck feathers, white duck feathers, the hard ones, they go into shuttlecock making. The finer duck feathers go into your, what is that they say? Fine feather, they go into making your blankets that you use winter blankets, sleeping bags. They are all imported from China. But we are not making use of that. And how much a kilo of down feathers, duck feathers may cost you 10,000 rupees a kilo. We are not able to use it. And those people who are doing this industry in Sikkim and northern part of the India, they purchase it from abroad. Had we been making enough, we would have been taking it within country. So everything that you use doing ducks is recyclable and reusable. People should take note of it, and all of us should strive together to make this industry a success. So the proportion of the chicken to ducks do not remain at 4%. It will go to 40%, like your China. Chicken to duck, they're 25%. That means if there is 1 lakh chicken, they have at least 25,000 ducks in every place. That's the deserving place.
Sir, next question, whether duck is amenable to meat processing as that of broiler?
Exactly, ma'am. This is actually just like chicken, you can do it, but they become tougher beyond 8 weeks of age. But most of the chicken butcher shops, they will not take, whenever we request them to dress our ducks, they'll say, sir, we'll take 10 rupees extra because it is a little tougher to pull out the skin. So everything is ideally done before 6 weeks. They're fully amenable before 6 weeks. They become tougher a little bit when they grow older.
And next question, why we are not developing broiler strain for ducks?
We should actually, we are not been able to do, that is our shortcoming. We must develop broiler strains.
Next question, sir. I think it is the last question. In duck, whether crop is present or not?
Actually, they have a shorter crop. They do not have a crop. The person again who asked me this question, I must compliment him. Very nicely as well. This but small crop. Crop like, that means they can store 50-100 grams, but they're not like chicken. Chicken can store up to 200 grams also in the crop. They do not have a developed crop, but it has a rudimentary crop.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for addressing all the queries. very nicely, and I think it has been very helpful to remove the stigma about duck farming and how it can be fitted for our backyard rearing as well, and their economic aspects to achieve Atma livelihood. Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening our participants. And
Thanks a ton. Thanks a ton.
Dr.
Dr.
Dr. Suryakant, you delivered such an important presentation on duckery. Really, it is an Nirvar. I think so now. But you reminded me my last 38 years when I was doing my graduation at Kashmir and we were eating duck eggs. I don't know now what is the present situation there, but really in all the villages in Kashmir, they were rearing ducks. They would have it. Uh, all the participants will agree with me that this presentation is really very useful and will remain memorable. Thank you, Dr. Suryakant.
Thank you, Dr. Sudesh, and my sincere thanks to all the participants for taking this lecture patiently. And I will request all of you to use this knowledge a little bit wherever possible. In our own field, I am sharing the PDF of this entire one, which is running into 510 MB right now. Okay, please distribute with the participants. Thank you.
thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Bye bye. You can stop it. You can discuss.
Yeah, you can stop now.
Thank you, everyone. Let's join back at 2:30 for the next session.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Namaskar.